it doesn't give you all the answers, but, you know, you can get a pulse of what's out there and where the obstacles lie. But getting back to the original question or comment, again, I don't know that I would have felt comfortable taking this to the Planning Commission first and then bringing it back to City Council.
Yeah, and I think that's how we got, you know, the medical was done, which is fine. I don't disagree with what you said. I'm saying that now here we are 2 years later sort of doing the same thing, and maybe we could have or should have went to planning before then, and we might not have ended up with 1,000 feet. So the fact that we have an existing ordinance that we're looking to either amend or replace, and at least in some sense of what we have, available properties or property use is an issue, why not give them a bite at the apple before we vote instead of after? So I don't want to speak for any of my colleagues. I'm just saying that for me, my vote maybe will be from a more educated perspective if I hear their opinions. And I would prefer to hear their opinions before I vote, not after. That's just my opinion. You guys, we can vote tomorrow and I'll make a vote. I'm trying to understand this as much as I can. I like the idea. I mean, my message all along was, you know, what went right, what went wrong. Let's do the old lessons learned, and if ABC City screwed this up, let's avoid it. If BCD City is a champion in this, let's mirror it, let's put it in our ordinance. I don't want to make the same property mistake again, and maybe planning can help us with that. Maybe, maybe not. I'd like them to tell me what they think.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know that it was a mistake. I think it was just, you know, again, when we passed medical, the recreational came along and changed everything. I think the group internally just discussed in terms of opportunities in the city of Taylor and the language as it currently exists in the state. We proposed, you know, reducing it to 500 feet as, again, if the body wants to go 1,000, if you want to make it 1,500, I don't think we have a necessarily preference on it, but it does become a lot more restrictive in terms of what we didn't want to do, and we've seen other communities do, make it so restrictive that nothing qualifies. You're basically opting out of the ordinance, even though it looks like on paper you have an ordinance.
And I've been the one saying, you know, keep it out of the neighborhoods, and the 500 feet is 500 feet closer than our current ordinance of 1,000. But if we're going to vote to do this, then we sure as heck better vote for something that works. And our first vote doesn't work, right? We can't do it at 1,000, or at least we don't believe it's a good fit. So I don't want to vote for 750 or 500 and then find out that it still doesn't work. If we want these businesses in our community, then let's make sure we're voting on something that allows them to operate in a manner where they're accessible by residents, where they have a chance to make a buck, where they can be a successful business. I don't want to do 1,000 again if it's a mistake.
I mean, there are some communities that, I think Royal Oak, they allowed it on Woodward. I mean, right in the heart of
I've heard Charlie say put them in Southland. You know, maybe if someone comes to me and says, if we don't do 100 feet, it's not going to work. If we want the industry, then maybe we got to vote for 100 feet.
Well, and here's another, I mean, I don't, you know, we're trying to move forward based on the residents that we all represent, right? And so I don't know that this body or any future bodies, I mean, you know, it might be that we don't move forward at all on this. I mean, it might be that the best interest is to simply vote no on it if that's how this group feels is the best way to move forward. What we're trying to do is, over the last 2 years, we spent a lot of time, we take a lot of phone calls of communities or interested parties. We're just trying to move the needle. We're listening to the dialogue. If you guys want to send it back to PC, we can send it back to PC. That will likely, based on the timing, it would probably delay it another month because there has to be a 15-day public notice to call the meeting, and then you'd need time to gather that input and bring it back to City Council. So we just want to move forward however this body feels is the best way. If you guys feel like having PC weigh in on it first is the best, I don't have any issue with it. Again, we didn't think at the time taking it to the Planning Commission at that point in time without a recommendation or input from City Council was the best way to go.
No, I'd just like to point out to you something like when, you know, last week when me and Michelle was going over the agenda, it was worded when we postponed it, it was postponed to this meeting or until we could have an open forum or whatever. So because we put that in there, it was on, you know, we decided to put it in the agenda because it was in the meetings of the last minute, or it was in the minutes of the last meeting. However, I don't ever remember getting this, whatever, these blank lines and all this other stuff, so of course we automatically put the last agenda item as part of the backup. So at what point, this conversation here never got to here, at least this person.
Mr. Chairman, you can see I forwarded the email that I
Yeah,
sent,
that's what I'm
so you
looking
can
at.
see
I'm
the
looking
date
at
on
the
it.
one you just sent, but we never knew we were going back to the 2000 or 215 one or whatever the date is on this one. Or 17. Regardless, that's, yeah, 2/15/21.
2/15, yep.
Yeah. So that was part of the reason there, but, so I'm not personally comfortable voting with open lines, like leaving, this one blank, and then we come back later. Personally, I would like.
We would fill it in.
You would fill them in.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So between tonight and tomorrow, we're gonna work that out.
Or during the open meeting, we would debate similar to how we are now.
Okay, yeah.
But
Then we would have to vote on each one of those items as well.
whatever we're gonna change that's not as
We'll have to go
stated.
through A through E and then vote, have a discussion, and then basically vote on what we're gonna put in the blank line for grower license,
Then we would have to vote on each.
processor line, or
Well,
licenses.
not just section 11.4, but every section that somebody has a question or an issue.
The agenda item though is just to, this blanket here.
Right, but I'd make a motion to approve the ordinance with the following changes. And then,
Okay.
but if somebody else wants more changes, we'll restate the motion, and we'll keep going until we get to a final version.
Okay.
But, Mr. Chairman, remember that in the beginning, we put numbers in there and said they were just placeholders
Yeah.
based on the committee.
Yeah.
We didn't feel that the council liked those numbers, so we simply took them out and put blank lines. I don't know that, there's a
I agree.
lot of
I'm glad you did
opinions.
that. But I just didn't know
I think
that.
they're trying to listen and give us the opportunity.
Sure.
They don't care how many you guys tell us, so we're fine. I've tried to be consistent since our first meeting in December. I did mention the planning commission. I did mention a public hearing. The mayor, I asked for financial information. As soon as the state put out numbers, it was provided to us. So I think the dialogue's been good. I think the communication's been there. I'm highlighting that I still would want to hear from planning. If my colleagues disagree with me, we will vote tomorrow. We'll all vote accordingly. I did send an email. I didn't send it till Sunday. I didn't expect an immediate response. I don't know when the next planning commission meeting is, but I've been saying since December I'd like their opinion. I haven't heard from them, so I reached out direct and made a request. To me, that's important. May or may not be to the six of you. If we vote tomorrow, I'll vote with the understanding that, for me, I don't have as much information as I want to pass this ordinance. That'll be my vote. You guys do what you gotta do.
Did you get any response from anyone on?
Well, I don't have all their contact information, so I reached out to the director and asked her to please forward it. I'm not saying she didn't do it, I just don't know if it's been done, and out of fairness to her, she's only had this thing for 24 hours.
And I don't know either, it was
Yeah,
not Brian.
I'll
I haven't
forward
seen
it
her,
to
so.
everybody so you can see what I sent, but I pretty much, told you everything that I've asked of them, and we'll see if I get a response. What's that?
Well, I do have all their emails for it, but if Laura already did, then.
Yeah, and I didn't want to call and ask her for all their emails. I don't know if those commission members would want their personal email to come to me, so I just felt it best to send it to the director and let her forward it on. So.
I think planning commission is a good idea, and if it does delay it a month, hopefully that will fall in line with the time when the meetings can be open, hopefully, where we can get public input.
The news I got is that we have to wait till at least April 19th to
Okay.
see what happens.
Just saying, time is not a big issue here. And no matter how long it may take us to do what's right for this community, if we have to take that time, I think the issue is beneficial to all, not only us doing the right thing, but to the public that we represent. So if it takes a little bit longer than people expect, well, it's only because we're doing our job. And I just think that's the right thing to do at this time.
Anybody else have anything?
I have, oh, sorry. You go ahead. You want me to go? Okay. Guido wanted this friend, with the vaccination, so if anyone is still watching at home. So Beat COVID Vaccinate Taylor campaign program continues to take registrations, so COVID vaccine appointments are currently being scheduled for Taylor residents who meet either of the following criteria: